Today on the Social Investing Network, Apple and Major League Soccer score a huge partnership. For the next 10 years, you can watch every MLS game on Apple TV. Will this move help Apple in the streaming wars? Plus, mortgage rates just hit 6%. Soaring mortgage rates might be cooling off home sales. Is the younger generation getting priced out of an already difficult housing market? And it's cold in the crypto winters. Crypto prices plummet across the board. We'll talk to someone deep in the crypto space about what to keep an eye on in the future. It's Wednesday, June 15th. Subscribe below, hit the notification bell. Now let's get into it. Apple and Major League Soccer just scored a major goal by striking a 10-year, rumored $250 million per year streaming rights deal where you can watch every single soccer game on Apple TV+. So the deal starts next year and will make Apple TV the one-stop shop for MLS fans. And Apple's committed to spending big on live sports, as we know. This announcement comes after the MLB announcement in April of this year for Apple and the MLB. With these two major announcements for Apple, we may not be done, though. They are also supposedly rumored to be in the running for the NFL Sunday ticket deal. That's going to be a big bid for a lot of the streamers. So, Zaid, Apple fan, I'm not sure if you're a soccer fan, but we'll find out here in a second. What do you think about this new streaming rights deal?
Yeah, Delano, I am an Apple fan. Yep, we've been talking about that for the last few weeks. Also a soccer fan, but mostly the Premier League. I'm a Chelsea fan. I haven't really watched that much MLS, but this is a smart move by Apple, right? I think what Apple and a couple other streaming services like Amazon Prime are doing now are trying to secure these sports rights, because it seems like sports is like the one way to pretty much get a guaranteed audience. Sports fans are rabid. They will go and buy whatever streaming service is required to watch their favorite team. Yeah. And I think this is a really smart way for Apple to do that. MLS, is a growing league. They got a good deal on this one. Baseball, they've done baseball, and then if they can get the NFL Sunday ticket, this will be a home run. And again, this is a break off from like a traditional streaming service like Netflix, who's never really embraced live sports rights. So I wonder if Netflix is kind of regretting that, because we know that Netflix is kind of struggling right now. Yeah. And now I don't know how they're going to be able to compete with the big boys like Apple and Amazon.
Yeah, you're certainly right, Zaid. I think I'm looking at it from the MLS side. This is a huge move for Major League Soccer. They've had shakeup in some ownership of the teams, with a big stars coming over from Europe and buying minority pieces of some teams. And also for Apple, as you mentioned, this is just a big move. Apple's making that big push. Tons of cash sitting around. And right now in an environment where we're talking about the equities, public equity markets, we're talking about other things, Apple is saying, hey, we're going to take our cash and invest it in something we think can bring an ROI long term, can bring subscribers, can bring people to our platform as they turn into more of that services business. So this is a huge move for Apple and Major League Soccer, and we'll be watching to see what happens going forward.
Yeah, totally. I mean, $250 million for Apple is nothing. It's like, what, 8 days worth of iPhone sales. All right, cool. Nicole, do you got any more sports takes for us?
Not really. I mean, it's
all good.
Yes, great business decision to involve sports, always.
Absolutely. All right, on to the next one. A 30-year mortgage rate, guys, is now over 6%, which is crazy because just last week it was 5.5%. Yeah. And we know that stocks and crypto have had a pretty rough 2022. Like, is this an indication that maybe real estate might be next? There's a good chart of the mortgage rates over the last few years. You can see it dipped as of the last couple of years, and now it's just gone back up, and it's starting to reach like 5 or 6 year highs. So why is this big news? Well, higher mortgage rates typically results in less home sales because people have to spend less on a house to meet their budget. I'll give you guys an example. So I bought my house back in December of 2020 here in the suburbs of Houston for $380,000, and I got a mortgage at a 3% rate. And I'm paying about $1,600 a month for that mortgage. Now, if I was trying to buy this same house now with a 6% rate, my monthly payment would be almost $2,400. So that's a difference of $800 a month. So, if my budget was only $1,600 a month for my mortgage, I couldn't afford this house. I would have to buy a cheaper house. So that's going to have, the higher mortgage rates are probably going to have a cooling effect on the housing market, So I can't imagine what it's like to buy a house or even invest in a house right now because, I feel like there might be some pain up ahead. Obviously, we don't have a crystal ball here, but it's the higher mortgage rates tend to result in that.
It's like that across the board, even in the renting space, right?
Yeah.
Like being a home buyer in any capacity right now has got to be like one of the most stressful things. I can't imagine it. I guess, if I'm lucky when my 2 years is up with my current lease, we'll see what happens. But I'm not too optimistic. I'm like already preparing for like such a higher rent that I won't be able to, stay in the place that I really love. But we'll see.
Yeah.
It's yeah. I wish I was more optimistic about it, but
Yeah, we had just saw, and we this kind of like breaking news what the Fed is doing is pushing up rates 75 basis points. And a lot of this is going into what's happening in rates all across the board. And, for people that are planning to buy, and guys, obviously we don't have crystal balls, but people that are planning to buy homes in the next 3 to 4 years, if you look at what's happening with the cooling of the housing market, that may be actually a good thing. Do people want prices to keep going up? Like the average median price for a house has been going up. It was, I think, a 20% year over year last time they kind of did that measurement. So if you're a person that's looking 3 to 4 years out, you might be, optimistic about what's happening as far as the cooling of the increase in prices and maybe the demand possibly slowing down with these rates hitting extreme heights. We haven't seen it in a long time.
Yeah, you mentioned like the appreciation of houses. Like since I bought my house again in December of 2020, as of a few months ago, the house had appreciated by over $100,000. Like that's not supposed to happen for housing prices in a short amount of time. So I think that hopefully this will have a cooling effect on the housing market. Hopefully we'll get more people into buying houses. But right now, I mean, there's a lot of uncertainty right now.
100%.
Well, speaking of sentiments and things changing constantly, apparently sentiments around crypto can also change very fast. During the first week of June and before the latest washout in crypto markets seen in the last few days, Bank of America conducted a survey of US crypto users where 91% of respondents said they intend to buy cryptocurrencies in the next 6 months, despite the sharp decline in prices. Most respondents were new to the space and reported small balances. Nearly half of users said they did not own crypto, but plan to buy digital assets in the near future. And the most commonly reported transaction size for both buys and sells was under $25. So those who reported owning crypto did it for things like the price appreciation, portfolio diversification, and interest in the technology, and being a part of a community as key reasons for holding. So anyways, I would be interested in Bank of America conducting this survey now, because we might be seeing a different story. But anyways, it's interesting just to see, right? Like the first week of June, maybe it was a little bit more optimistic and things could change. Although I when I talk to folks, I think the last two reasons people get into crypto, right, in the survey is the underlying technology and interest in it, and then being a part of a community. I think those two things could still hold up.
Yeah, you're so right. We actually have a comment from Zane who says, hi Zane, thanks for watching. Probably a fan of Zaid, possibly a fan of Zaid. Zane and Zaid.
It might be my brother, because my brother's name is Zane. So I wonder if it's him.
I was like, Zaid, is that your cousin?
Oh, the brother of Zaid. Well, Nicole, back to what you're saying. I think obviously the timing of that survey is so important here, but I do think it would change, but maybe not that much. We've gotten a lot of people that have been in crypto a long time have gone through different cycles, have gone through volatility, have gone through bear markets. And I think the one thing that's keeping people in is, you mentioned community, understanding the technology, having optimism on what's going forward. Obviously, we don't have a crystal ball, but I think that's some of the sentiment from the people that have stayed in this space. So yeah, volatility is going to wash out people that have had no, real firm foundation in something that they believed in, right? And that's coming from a perspective that I can speak from it. But I think other people have different sentiments. So that survey doesn't actually surprise me, Zaid.
I'm a little bit more pessimistic, guys. I think that I think a lot of times we hear people that, when the market crashes, I'm just gonna back the truck up and buy everything. But when it actually happens, people say that they're gonna do it, but a lot of times people don't do it, because again, it's scary. It's scary to like, I'm gonna buy the dip. But what if it keeps dipping? So I think that's I hope that survey is correct. I hope people actually follow through with that and get some exposure, especially if, like the market is down right now. It might be a good opportunity to buy. Again, if you don't have a crystal ball, not making any financial advice here. I hope people follow through with it, but I'm a little bit more pessimistic.
Well, maybe we have someone who's joining the show that is able to balance this out a little bit. I did catch up with someone who's deep in the crypto space, who has experienced crypto winters, and he is sharing with us what we can expect in the future. Take a listen. On today's show, we have a crypto and investment educator right here on YouTube, bringing his knowledge of blockchain technology, technical and fundamental analysis to his audience. And he's here to talk about crypto winter and what in the world is going on with the Fed. Please welcome Matt Kohrs. Hey, Matt, welcome to the show.
Happy to be here. Happy to be here.
Happy to have you. So what brought you to the crypto space, and what maybe motivated you to talk about it to the public?
Well, two different things. Like it's actually crazy. When I first got involved in crypto, I was gambling in college and I just needed it as a medium for me to like be able to gamble. I never thought of it as an investment. So this was closer to like maybe 2014, 2015. And of course I'm kicking myself. I wish all of that money, I just like kept it invested. I would be way better off right now. So at first it was just through gambling. I needed it. Then since there, I was really excited about the retail movement with AMC and GME. And in that time period, also we had Doge and Sheeb, and I had invested in crypto, but all of a sudden more and more people had questions. So for me, it was a natural step to also include that in the breakdowns and technicals and just kind of cover the news of what was going on. There's a lot of retail interest in many different aspects of obviously the equities market, but also crypto.
Mm-hmm. How do you think you found like your way of kind of having I guess like a niche and engagement with your audience, right? Because those are pretty broad topics in a sense, right? Mm-hmm. So I guess like, what do you think is about what you've created that really draws in an audience?
Yeah, I don't know if I've struck content gold with it, because a lot of people, they don't want to hear about the other stuff. And then some people do. I find that there's people who are interested in very, very specific things. But then for others, it's just, oh, I want to know about markets or generically crypto. Sometimes we talk about Doge and that's all they want to hear about. Sometimes they talk about Jimmy and that's it. And then other people are like, well, I'm interested in just making money. I wish I could tell you the secrets of being able to talk about all of it. But hey, if you know the secrets, let me know.
Well, currently we are in what many call crypto winter. What are some of the things you're doing to protect yourself and your assets during a time like this?
So in whether it's futures or equities or crypto options, I mean, I'm more of an active trader, so I'm more than willing to get some put options on the way down for the overall market to just try to balance things out. But I wholeheartedly believe, especially when it comes to crypto, I look at my main crypto investment, which is Bitcoin, and I understand it's a long-term investment. I have no interest in actively trading it. If anything, it's me trying to pick the time to dollar cost average. Earlier on, Michael Saylor was speaking about it, and he's still holding strong. A lot of these people, they're like, hey, this happens. And yeah, things got a little hot. I mean, we all wish it was back at 69,000 like it was in November. But to me, it's in these hard times that you realize why you were in it. Or was I in it for an active trade, or was I looking to be a long-term investor? So that's exactly what I'm doing. I'm just preparing to dollar cost average to be a long-term investor.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that resonates. I was speaking with an investor earlier today who was talking about, it's easy to just think about what's going to happen, right? 12, 18 months from now. But why don't we think about what's happening 12 to 18 years from now? That's a lot harder for people maybe to swallow, but it is something I think we always have to pay attention to. So for you though, what are some of the specific things that you are paying attention to over the next few weeks, months, or like I said, even years, right, of this winter that will maybe affect your decision-making?
I think for that, it's kind of twofold. So the first part is, especially with Bitcoin and let's say Ethereum, just the two most popular, the two largest ones. Right now, I mean, today we're talking about the Fed. We're going to find out how much are they raising interest rates? How hawkish is it going to be? And a lot of people are associating hawkishness with bearishness. So I'm paying attention to the macroeconomic backdrop, understanding that, yes, we're battling a 4-decade high level of inflation. That's a very serious thing we need to take care of. And in the meantime, maybe we have to swallow a pretty painful pill here or there just to kind of get us over that. So I'll be paying attention to what's going on with the Fed, the government, and all of that, because, hey, you have cycles. There's no market that's always bullish. There's no market that's always bearish. Eventually, it runs out. And in terms of dollar cost averaging, that's what I'm looking for. Even though I'm going to be long-term bullish on equities and crypto, sometimes you get these cycles. So it's important to pay attention to it. So in terms of me, it's just like, okay, what's going on? Pay attention to that. but also with crypto, more interestingly, I would say, is terms of regulation. Yes, there's a lot of maturity and regulations in the world of equities. Crypto's not quite there. And in fact, the chairman of the SEC, Gary Gensler, was recently talking about it. I do think it's interesting. He went out of his way to particularly call Bitcoin a commodity. And then the rest, he said, hey, they might be a security and we're going to be looking into it, which is about 19,000. So I'll be paying attention to the decisions from the SEC. And also another thing, I've been following NFTs just because that's really hot in terms of trends and what people are talking about. And recently they hit an insider trading at OpenSea. So that'll be interesting. And also, I think the world of NFTs themselves are going to be, I can't say I'm bullish on NFTs personally, just because of, I really like the technology. But right now, when the market's kind of tough, and then there's other concerns of what's the utility, I like the technology, though, because I think it's going to be amazing in the future, whether you're talking about government documents, medical documents, real estate. So I love the technology, and I want to see where that goes next. So that's a big thing I'll also be paying attention to.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I can appreciate that, right? Because it really is the underlying technology and right, that long-term view that can kind of maybe help us be more optimistic and aspirational for the future of the space, even as we are shivering in this winter, right? Does the recent bandwagoning of financial institutions and major brands and companies that are, committing to the space give you a better outlook on this downturn than maybe you had in the past downtimes, or does it make it worse?
In terms of, let's say, Bitcoin, it does, because to me that represents maturity. But then let's say in terms of NFTs, I'm like, that kind of, it's interesting because it shows even on the biggest level of business, we're all kind of a little susceptible to that hopium and the hype of, you see everything ripping and you're like, man, I wish I got some of that. But in terms of Bitcoin, the fact that we're talking about Tesla, MicroStrategy, Block, the list goes on, that's more of, in my book at least, maturity. And granted, I'm not saying crypto right now is mature. We need a lot more highway on-ramps just so we can have a spot ETF. So 401ks, IRAs can actually get invested. We're getting there, but it's obviously a slow-moving process.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'm excited to also have crypto and Bitcoin, and whether we're mostly talking about right, like capital B Bitcoin, right, the actual blockchain underlying technology. I'm excited to see it mature as well, and kind of the dialogue that we're having, right, kind of evolve and seeing the future of that. So, all right, well, thank you so much, Matt, for joining the show, for sharing your insights, and appreciate you being here.
Thank you so much. I had a blast.
Well, that does it for today's show. Be sure to like, comment, and subscribe, and hit that notification bell. We will see you tomorrow.
Hey, thanks for watching, everybody. Be sure to like, subscribe, hit that notification bell, and be sure to tune in tomorrow.